We're here to decompress. So let's do that. So everybody has their block and some sort of a strap or a belt. Just keep that close at hand, and we're going to start laying on our mats to settle into this space and to get a sense of the energy and the mood of our body. So making our way all the way down into Savasana. And if this is where you feel you want to spend the entire session, then please, by all means, do whatever your body tells you you need. We will flow gently through sequences. But before we start our asana practice, let's take a moment to settle into this space around us and our bodies, taking a few deep breaths in through the nose and sighing out through the mouth. Noticing the rising and falling sensation of the chest and the expansion of the ribs laterally, and the softening of all the muscles in our body as they melt towards the earth. Allowing the breath to assume its natural rhythm in and out through the nose. And closing our eyes if we haven't already. Feeling the contact of our body on the earth below. Noticing the rhythm of breath, the pause at the top and the bottom. Bringing our awareness to our physical sensations, running through a body scan from head to toe, noticing every part through the head, into the neck and the shoulders, down the arms, back to the chest, upper back, and through the torso, through the hips and into the legs, front and back, the knees, the lower part of the legs, front and back, the ankles, the feet, top and bottom, and the toes. Getting a sense of the mood and the energy of our body. And if so desired, taking a moment to set an intention or an affirmation for our practice. Taking a deep breath in and filling our lungs. Sighing it out through the mouth. And we blink our eyes open, grabbing onto our left knee, tucking it into our chest, giving it a gentle hug. Maybe wiggling into the mat to find comfort. Maybe wiggling the knee left to right into the hip to see how we're feeling. Checking in with the fluidity of the hip. Setting the left foot back down and drawing the right knee in. Slow transition, giving the right knee a hug again, wiggling in. Breaking into the hip joint slowly, drawing synovial fluid to the joint, and finding that fluidity. Lowering the right foot back down to the earth, extending it long. And we'll draw the left knee back in. And we'll bring the right knee up and figure four. So hugging the right knee in, the left leg is figure four across. Once again, we can rock or pulse. This time checking in a little bit more with the back of the left leg. Noticing any pattern of tension that may be running between the left knee, through the left hip and into the lower back. Gently moving through today's poses, honoring the state of our body, and celebrating any micro gains. Bringing the right foot to the floor, hanging on to the left foot with our hand. And we're going to double figure four. So bringing the left foot to the earth, allowing the right knee and right foot to fall. An option here to hold the leg or to butterfly, pressing the left knee away, checking in again to see what's happening, any new sensations we may be creating as we move energy around slowly and carefully. Maintaining our calm, steady rhythm of breath. And if we get distracted, we can come back to the breath or the physical sensations. Good. Allowing the left foot to fall back alongside the right. And we'll extend our legs long on the mat once again. Wiggling them out. Then we'll draw the right knee in, crossing it over the left, and then we draw the left leg up. Figure four, hug here. Bringing our hands to the top of the left knee or shin, or behind the left leg. Rocking or pulsing as we ease into the pose. And notice what our bodies are telling us. Grabbing onto the right foot with our left hand, we lower the left leg down and allow it to fall into another figure four. Bringing the left or the right foot down to the earth, and an option to butterfly. Once again, checking in with the entire right side of the leg, hip, and lower back. Only coming into the pose if it feels comfortable. Using our breath as a guide so that we're not pushing too far too fast. One more big breath here. And then we'll allow the right leg to lower on top or in front of the left. And then we'll extend both legs long on the mat, giving them a wiggle, wiggling the ankles and the feet. And then we'll draw both feet back up, hip width apart. Left knee once again comes towards the chest, wrapping our hands and interlacing them behind the left leg, flexing our foot, and then we'll drive the heel up to the sky on the exhale. On the inhale, we'll lower the heel back down to the glute. Exhale, we press it up. Inhale, we lower. Gaining a bit of flexibility and length in the left leg with each exhalation. Keeping the knee hugged into the chest. And we'll hold this next time up, extending, driving the heel up. The toes are flexed towards the face. Breathing naturally. And we'll release the left foot back down to the earth. Right knee comes into the chest, giving it a hug, interlacing the hands behind the back of the right foot, flexing the toes and driving the heel up. Exhale. Inhale, we lower. Exhale, we press. One more, and we'll hold at the top. Keeping the foot flexed, noticing the energy running down the leg. Calm, steady rhythm of breath. Good. Releasing the right foot back to the earth. Giving the feet a wiggle. Maybe we hug both knees in and tucking our chin to our chest, lifting the shoulders off the earth. Good. Releasing our feet back, hip width apart, grabbing onto our strap. And we're going to wrap it around the bottom of the left foot. Bring the hands close to the chest. Deep breaths in, and then exhaling, extending the left foot all the way back up, keeping the foot flexed, keeping our shoulder blades connected to the earth. Our hands are tightly gripped around the strap, close to our chest. Holding here for a few breaths. At any time, we have the option to release our right leg to the mat if it feels comfortable on the lower back. And from here, slowly, we're going to allow the left leg to move towards the left, keeping the strap hugged into our body, trying to keep the hips facing the sky. Our arms are engaged, not letting the left leg open too quickly. Now we start to feel the inner thigh muscles talk to us. Stopping where we're comfortable, and our body can release stress safely, knowing that we're not pushing too far too fast. Alternative to the strap, of course, is we can hold on to our big toe with our fingers, or wrap our hand around the front of the foot. Keeping our shoulder blades and our hips on the earth. Calm, steady rhythm of breath. Noticing the opening of the muscles as they start to release energy, allowing for circulation of the blood. And we'll slowly bend the knee and draw the leg back over top of our hips, extending it once again. And then once we're back to center, we can allow the left leg to lower over to the right side. Once again, keeping our strap hugged into our chest. Noticing what's happening in the outer side of the left leg, from the spine, through the hip, the glute, down the IT band, through the knee, into the ankle. No competition here. We ease ourselves into the pose. We only go as far as our bodies allow. Where we feel that we're making gains and we're releasing tension. Calm, gentle expression on our faces, that we're not transferring tension to our eyes, our forehead, or our jaws. Playing with the posture of our feet, perhaps we flex and point the left foot to see what difference that makes in our stretch. Micro movements can make a big difference. Good. Bending the knee, coming all the way back down, hugging the left knee in and removing the strap. Allowing the left leg to run long on the mat. Perhaps we give the legs a little wiggle in between sides. And then we draw both feet back up, hip width apart. Drawing the right knee into the chest and wrapping our strap around the bottom of the foot. When we're ready, we extend the right foot up. Drawing the strap towards our chest. Bringing our head and our shoulders back to the earth. Flexing the right foot. And with as straight a leg as possible, we slowly start to open the right leg over to the right side. Slowly checking in with the sensations, stopping anywhere along the way where we feel we need a little bit of attention and time to nourish the inner thigh muscles. Keeping our shoulders and our hips attached to the mat. Perhaps noticing different sensations on this side of the body. Being curious. Good. We'll bend the knee, bringing the full leg over our hips again and extending back up. And when we're ready, we can slowly bring our right foot over towards the left. Again, we have the option to allow the left leg to float long on the mat. Checking in with our upper body, shoulders, the neck, the jaw. Are we smiling? Can we release tension in our face that doesn't need to be held there? Again, noticing the sensations running down from the right foot all the way through the leg and into the lower back. Noticing and honoring those connections. Breathing lightness in order to allow space for the ligaments, the blood, all the circulatory effects. Nourishing our bodies in this moment. being aware of our little micro gains in our movements. And then bending the knee, bringing the knee back in, releasing the strap again, and allowing the right leg to meet the other on the mat. Extending our arms over our head, reaching long, arching our lower back, breathing into the abdomen and through to the lower back. Deep breaths in. Good, releasing the lower back to the earth, drawing our feet back into our hips and bringing our arms back alongside our bodies. With our knees stacked on top of our ankles and our shoulder blades driving into the earth, we'll lift our hips, allowing our chin to lower to the chest as the neck opens up. And we'll move through some fluid hip bridges. As we lower our hips, we allow our arms to float over our head, inhaling. And as we lift our hips, we can allow the arms to float back alongside our body. Noticing an increased fluidity as we warm into the spine and the neck, moving to the rhythm of our breath. Maybe even feeling a gentle massage of the upper back and into the shoulder blades. Noticing the breath and the pause at the top and the bottom. Enjoying those gentle pauses of peace and stillness. We'll float through two more. And allowing the hips to lower. Once again, hugging the knees into the chest. And opening up the knees wider into happy baby. Wiggling the feet around, moving left to right, pointing, flexing, rolling. Bringing awareness to the ankle joints, the feet and the toes. Good. And then we'll lower our feet back down, bringing our right leg over the left, either in eagle or figure four. Walking the left foot to the outer edge of the mat, and then allowing the knees to come into a twist. At whatever intensity our body is desiring, craving, or allows. Option to allow the hands to lay alongside, on the hips, or above the head. Breathing calmly here, perhaps breathing into areas of discomfort, and noticing the gentle transitions of the sensations as blocked energy starts to release. Once again, noticing the gentle expression on our faces and in our jaws. Two more breaths here. And then we'll slowly bring our knees back up and twist, allowing the right foot to come back to the earth, and then we'll cross the left leg over, figure four or eagle, walking the right foot to the outer edge of the mat and then allowing the knees to come to the left. Finding our block if we'd like to support the knees. And then again, finding a placement for our hands that feels most comfortable on this side of the body. A position that allows us to melt into the pose, to release tension, and to maintain our presence in this moment. Noticing that we might become distracted, making note of whether that's an emotion or a thought, and allowing it to float by. We can pick it up later or not. Trusting that the important emotions and thoughts will come back to us, and that this time on the mat creating headspace will enable us to process. Perhaps coming back with a clearer mind and strength to continue working through whatever might be needed. Noticing the rhythm of breath, what might be happening in the abdomen. Nourishing our two-way channel of communication from the brain to the gut and the gut to the brain. Two more breaths here. And then we'll stack our knees back up slowly, letting the left knee float off, once again hugging in either narrow or wide, whatever feels good on the lower back. Perhaps we rock side to side to check in, or we find stillness if that's preferable. Good. Rolling onto our sides, we'll come into all fours, grabbing a sip of water in between as desired. Finding our way into all fours with our hands under our chest, our knees under our hips, and we'll float the hips left to right, allowing the head to follow. Getting a sense of all the yummy sensations running down the side body, across the lower back, and into the hips. Moving that around, creating fluidity. Good. Coming back to neutral. Curling the toes under our shins. Taking a deep breath in through the nose and lifting our hips into down dog. Pressing the heels back towards the earth. Getting a sense of the length of the back body, running all the way from the crown of the head, up through the neck, through the vertebrae, into the lower back, the tailbone, and down the legs. And then pedaling it out if desired. Shifting into the hips, once again checking in with the energy running down the legs. Slow and steady movements, allowing the head to hang heavy as we create space in the vertebrae, down the column of our spine. Nourishing with each breath. Two more big breaths here in down dog. And then we'll come back to neutral, pressing the heels back, pressing into our hands, allowing the chest to melt towards the earth. And we'll lower our knees back to the earth, walking our hands out, coming into child's pose, sinking our hips back. Perhaps finding our block to support our forehead, or we have our fists, our hands, or the mat. Taking a moment to reflect on our intention or our affirmation. Good. Coming all the way back up into all fours. Curling our toes underneath our shins. Once again, deep breaths in and stepping back up into down dog. Good. Lifting our left leg off the earth. Allowing it to float to whatever height it will naturally. Pressing our weight into the right heel. Calm, steady rhythm of breath. Option to bend the left knee, opening the hips. Noticing what's happening from the lower back on the left side and maybe all the way through the right inner thigh to the knee. Good. Rotating our hips back to center, coming up on the toes of the right foot, bringing our left knee all the way to our chest and stepping down, left foot coming into a very low lunge here, flattening the back foot, bringing our hands onto our thigh as we find stability. Maybe even we find our blocks for support along the way and keeping our straps close by. We'll sink into the right hip flexor here. Slow and steady. Working our way off the right knee, onto the thigh muscle. Tall torso, finding length through the crown of the head. Maybe lowering the block as our hip flexor starts to open. Or maybe our hand is already on the earth, no competition here. But we'll walk our left foot out to the edge of the mat, and then we'll slowly start to rock left to right. Checking in with the left hip and the right hip flexor. No stress here, making sure we haven't transferred stress to our jaw. Maybe we're even giving a little bit of a rotation in the torso to check in. Breaking up old patterns of tension and creating new fluidity. Good. Bringing both hands to the inside of the mat. Finding stability here, we're going to lift our right foot off the earth. We have the option here to grab for our strap, reaching for it. We have the option to reach our left hand all the way back and grab onto the right foot. If we haven't the accessibility today to reach for the foot, we have our strap. We curl it around and we hug it back in, keeping our chest and our torso lifted tall. As we slowly draw the right foot towards our glute, fitting the pose to our body. Perhaps today we're focused on opening our chest, or perhaps we're focused on opening up the right quadricep and hip flexor. We have options. Noticing micro gains, celebrating those, not worrying about what we may not be able to achieve today. Celebrating what we can. Calm, steady rhythm of breath. Good. And we'll allow the right foot to lower all the way back to the earth. Centering ourselves back. And let's go ahead and sink the hips backwards towards our right heel, lifting the toes of the left foot. Again, we have our blocks for support. Pressing our torsos tall. Deep breaths in. And then we can exhale, lowering over the left extended leg. Knowing that this can be an intense stretch. So being gentle. Supporting ourselves along the way. Remembering there's no destination. This is all part of the journey as we nourish our bodies and our minds. Reminding ourselves that we're not here for competitive reasons. We're not here to achieve something specific. We notice the micro gains as small transitions that we make along the way, and we appreciate them. They motivate us to keep going. Good. Let's press our left foot back to the earth, back into our lunge here. Hands are planted, framing the left foot, and then we'll bring the left knee back underneath us into our all fours, and we'll circle around to rinse that out, whichever direction the body decides. Adding lateral flexion as we sink and round the hips. One more big breath. Then we'll meet up in neutral. Bring our feet back underneath us, curling the toes. Hands are under our chest. Deep breaths in. And on the exhale, we lift the hips back into our down dog. Allowing the right leg to float up to whatever height it will naturally, pressing our weight in through the back leg, allowing our heads to hang heavy between our arms, finding grounding of our fingers with the knuckles pressed into the mat. Option to bend the right knee, opening up the hips to face the wall, stacking the right knee on top. And once again, perhaps noticing energy running between the right hand, down the right side body, into the hip, across the lower back and down the left leg. Noticing how it might be transitioning. One more breath here. And then we'll bring our hips back to center. Coming up on the toes of the left foot. And we'll hug the right knee in, stepping it through, low lunge, lowering the left knee and flattening the back foot. Bringing our hands onto our thigh or our block. Perhaps we set the block at a different height. Checking in with the left hip flexor as we allow it the time it needs to release tension and mount towards the earth. Lifting our torsos tall. You know the options here, lifting an arm, crossing it over the right knee. Whatever feels good here today, we do that. Maintaining calm, steady rhythm of breath and a gentle expression on our faces. Creating this space in our bodies and our minds. Walking our right foot out to the outer edge of the mat and bringing our left hand to the earth. And once again, we can rock side to side, opening into the right hip and the left hip flexor. Rocking, shifting our weight. Perhaps we add some gentle spinal rotations here. Again, we're breaking through old patterns and creating new space. Excellent. Coming back to center, bringing both hands down for support. Keeping our strap nice and close, lifting our back leg. Left foot comes up. Option to grab the foot, option to grab our strap. And we reach our right arm back into whatever pose feels comfortable for our body today. Again, either focusing on lifting and opening the chest, or perhaps focusing on opening up the left quadricep as we float off of the left knee, drawing our left foot towards us. Calm, steady rhythm of breath. Getting out of the pose what we need. Three more breaths here. And we'll release our foot back to the earth, bringing our hands back down, and we'll float our hips up and back, lifting our front foot. Extending the right leg long, again finding our block for support as needed. Elongating the torso, deep breaths in, pointing the toes to the sky, and then we hinge over the right leg. Extending through the hamstring and the calf muscle. calm, steady rhythm of breath, making sure we're not pushing too far, too fast. Exhaling, releasing tension as we melt towards the earth. Two more breaths. Good. Flattening the front foot, coming back into our lunge. And slowly bringing our hands back to the earth and our right knee underneath us, and we'll circle around the opposite direction. As big or as little as a movement as the body is craving, doing that, listening to our body. Finding the fluidity and meditative flow. Two more big breaths. And we'll come back to neutral. Gentle cat-cow with a deep breath in. Inhaling, pressing the earth away, lifting our chest and our gaze. Exhale, rounding the tailbone, each vertebrae, letting the head hang heavy. And then we repeat, inhale, pressing away, lifting and opening the abdomen. Exhale, rounding back in, drawing the abdomen up through the spine. Three more just like that. Big breaths in, gentle pause at the top and the bottom. Slow and purposeful movements, lengthening our breath and calming our nervous system in the process. Holding here, 2 deep breaths. Head is hanging heavy. We're looking back towards our feet, or at least our gazes. Pressing into the shoulder blades, noticing the length of the neck. And we release. Coming into fire logs or easy seated pose. Good, wiggling out the wrists. Perhaps we have our left foot in front or our left leg on top. We'll take a deep breath in and lift our arms up over the shoulders, and we'll rotate over to the left, coming onto the fingertips, pressing the earth away, lengthening the torso, looking over the left shoulder. Once again, noticing our breath, the rising and falling sensation of our rib cage, and noticing any areas of blocked energy, perhaps in our neck or upper back. Using our deep breaths to massage the tissues along the spine, up into the shoulder blade and neck. And on the next inhale, we'll reach our arms back up over our shoulders, coming back to center. And hinge forward, keeping our sit bones on the earth, bringing our hands in front of us. Deep breath in, lengthening. And exhale, we melt. Maybe bringing our block in front of us, and we're lowering onto our forearms, fists, or hands. Noticing what's happening in the left hip. And perhaps this is extending all the way into the glute, releasing some of our trigger points, where a lot of us hold tension in our glutes that then create inflammation and pain running into the lower back and down through the leg. Perhaps visualizing and bringing our awareness to those areas. Noticing the release of energy, the melting of tension in the space that we're creating. Two more breaths here. And then on the next inhale, we'll press ourselves all the way back up. And we'll release out of that, extending our legs in front of us, giving them a little wiggle. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. So bringing our right foot in front or the leg on top, whatever feels most comfortable. And when we're ready, we bring our arms over our shoulders with the next inhale. And we rotate over that right leg, coming onto the fingertips, finding length between the tailbone and the crown of the head. Looking over our right shoulder and breathing in to any areas of discomfort, creating space, nourishing the tissues, and noticing transformations, however small they might be. One more breath here. And then we come back to center. Inhale, lifting our arms over our shoulders. Exhale, we bring our hands to the earth. Sinking into the right hip. Finding length in our torso. And melting towards the earth. Releasing tension in the neck, in the jaw, in the face. Finding our blocks as needed for support. Two more breaths. And on the next inhale, we slowly press ourselves up, stacking the vertebra one at a time. Shoulders and head. Good. Extending the legs out in front one more time, giving them a little wiggle. Grabbing a sip of water as desired. And we'll come onto our knees in toes pose, so drawing our legs back under us, curling the toes underneath the shins, making sure all 5 toes are pressed into the mat. Lighting up the bottoms of our feet while we open up our upper body. So stacking our torso on top of the hips. The glutes can come onto the heels. And we'll start by interlacing our fingers behind our back, rolling our shoulders back, Drawing the shoulder blades in towards the spine. Straightening the arms, knuckles are pressing towards the earth. Noticing an opening of the upper arms and the wrists. An option to lift the hands away from the back. Maintaining length in our torso, calmness in our face, and a steady rhythm of breath. Three more breaths here, wherever here is for you. And then we'll release the hands, bringing them back in front of us, rolling out the wrists. Coming into all fours, tapping out our feet. I don't know about you, but I always find that intense. Good. Curling the toes under once again, optional. Again, checking in that all five are pressed into the mat. And we're going to bring our hands out in front of us, interlacing once again, pressing the palms away, arms are parallel. And on the inhale, we're going to lift the arms, gentle cat-cow motion here. Deep breath in. Exhale, bringing the arms parallel to the floor, tucking the chin to chest. Inhale, back up. Arching the spine, looking up. Exhale, rounding forward, noticing what's happening in the lower back and the quadriceps. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, we round to the rhythm of our breath. To the depth that our body craves. One more. Then we release our hands back down, lifting our shoulders and our head. And once again, we come into all fours, tapping out our feet. Yay for that. Tapping, rolling, wiggling, whatever feels good. Perhaps it's not as intense this time around. Good, and we'll float ourselves all the way back down to the earth one more time with our blocks close by, coming back into a supported bridge pose. So lowering ourselves down gently, rolling onto the mat. Good control. And we'll bring our block underneath our sacrum. Width-wise, so that it's long, coming under our sacrum for support. And we'll start off by bringing the bottoms of our feet together in butterfly, allowing the knees to open. Hands can be on our hips, at the floor or above our head. Finding a block, a height for our block that feels suitable, that we can stay in this pose for a few moments. We can always move it and adjust it. Bringing our awareness to our breath. To the softness in our faces. And noticing what might be happening in our abdomen. Noticing distractions that might appear. Again, making note of them as either thoughts or emotions. And like clouds in a blue sky, letting them float by. Bringing our awareness back to the physical sensations. Perhaps new sensations in our lower back or our legs. If ever they become painful or uncomfortable, we can remove the block and come back down to the mat. Finding the support we need in every moment. Closing our knees, maybe with the support of our hands, bringing the knees back above the earth, flattening our feet. And we'll draw one knee in at a time, and then both, and then we'll stack our legs all the way back up over our hips. Crick, crack, crick, crack. Taking a moment to wiggle out, and then to flex the feet. Slowly starting to draw the toes closer to the face, keeping the legs as straight as possible. Good. Keeping the left leg up, I'm going to lower the right leg, planting the foot back on the earth. And then we'll slowly, with all the power in our body, lower the left leg to the earth as slow as we can. Moving 1 centimeter at a time, using the control, the back of our leg, quadricep, the abdomen, keeping our upper body still and calm. And eventually tapping the left foot back to the earth. When we get there, we can allow the left leg to rest. And then we'll draw the right knee in, lifting and extending the right leg, flexing through the foot, driving the heel up. Noticing the calmness in our face and our jaw. Our entire upper body is still and calm. And then slowly, with the power of our leg, determination of our mind, 1 centimeter at a time, we slowly lower the right leg to the earth. Slowly starting to engage the quadricep, the abdomen, all the while continuing to maintain stillness in our upper body. Eventually tapping the right heel to the earth, and then allowing the right leg to fall open, gently opening. Bringing our awareness to the breath, the calm, steady rhythm, in and out through the nose. Removing our block at any time that might feel suitable. And taking a moment to run back through a body scan from head to toe. Noticing any changes in our mood or our energy. A sense of lightness and comfort that we may have. Perhaps reflecting on our intention or affirmation that we used to guide us through our practice. Perhaps we set a new intention or affirmation for the days ahead. Being open and curious. Remembering to let go of any expectations or competition in each and every experience that we may be gifted. Floating through any final micro movements. Perhaps we release our block and hug our knees in, rocking side to side, or we wiggle our ankles, just bringing our awareness back to our physical being. And then slowly bringing our awareness back to the space around us, the sounds, the smells, and the temperature. Taking the time we need to imprint the practice on our bodies and minds. And when we're ready, we can roll up gently, bringing our full awareness and presence back to the present moment and space around us. Bringing our awareness back to the community. And with smiles on our faces and gratitude in our hearts, we take our light forward to illuminate the path ahead of us and the people that we encounter along the way. Thank you for sharing your light with me, for sharing this space and time with me. Namaste.